Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I've got a pretty grim rack and I can either change or I can play Chi. And I think I'll play Chi. It's over 20 points. And this rack leave, although it's pretty horrible, is probably worth a bit less than 20 points. Or is it? I'm not sure it is. That is pretty grim. I'm changing. And I'll keep E and L. Well, that's okay. That's a lot better. It's non-bingo-y, but I have a couple of vowels and I have some good scoring tiles. If opponent changes, I could play biflex, getting the X doubled and the word doubled. So I think that change has worked out. And if opponent puts a vowel next to a premium square, I could score very highly off the Z or X. Now, is biflex the best I can do? I think it probably is. And as well as scoring well, it's nice to get rid of the B and the F as well. They don't go particularly well with the big tiles. Well, they don't go particularly well together. And they're both non-bingo-y, so it's nice to get rid of both at the same time. 22 for opponent. Applite takes an H in front and an S after it. No vowels next to premium squares. I do have biflex retaining the L in column 5. I also have it in row G. I have fixable in column 3, but that doesn't get doubled. Let me see what this scores. Biflex for 36, quite a nice rack leave. Not sure if it takes ES, but not too bothered about that either. So what would be an alternative to that? That's 36. I'm not persuaded that it's best. Now there is a vowel next to a premium square, but a play of Zax in that spot would be too dangerous with the triple word square. Biflex in row G can't be better. What about just fix here, 31? And this is not too bad a rack leave, especially with this A available for the Z, and also the Z can go in front of EX. So I think this rack leave together with the A floater means that this is a better play than biflex. I am going with this. Well, a W, another of those tiles which lack synergy with the B, as indeed the F did. So no bingo here. But this EX spot is quite good for me, and it may be attractive to opponent leaving the Z spot alone above the A. Well, opponent goes in that spot and burns a blank for just 25 points, so he could have both blanks on his rack, but he hasn't got huge value out of this one. So what can I do with this rack? I've got an I for going next to the Q. I trail by 16. 16 minutes on my clock. If takes an F after it for future reference. Now my B can go next to the I. Do I have a 5-letter B play? Well, I have a 6-letter play, and this is going to be a little bit dangerous. Blinzer for 55, retaining the W. It does need the E, and this is a much bigger score than I can see anywhere else. I'm going with this. Ah, not good. Okay, I think it takes a T between the N and the Z. Let me take that back in a hurry. Well, what about, and this may come off as well, Bezil. It may just be Bezel. Wow, and it's good. Okay. So, onto a D, I would have Corn Ward. And the point I was going to make about Blinzer, if it stayed on, is that and it applies still here, is that I'm creating 2 openings, which is better than 1. Although I am creating access to the row O triple word squares, by takes an O in front, so I'm also creating a column 1 spot. So, for example, that is available for me now with Crow. That may not be best, because I'd be retaining 2 N's. Fix takes a T after it. Bezel only takes an S after it. Just contemplating other corn words, but I don't think I have any other candidate 8s on my rack. It certainly would be nice to split up the duplicate N. They don't go particularly well together. A play of Crown would achieve that end, but I'm not seeing anywhere good for that. X takes an O after it, so I could play Noun. That's not bad, and that would also extinguish the F threat to if. I do have, this is slightly confusing having two Davids, but I'm the one on the left, and I lead by 30 odd points. So do I have any plays in column 1 which get rid of an N and a W? I do. I have a now, which is quite nice. Keep CNR. If I draw vowels, I could have a pretty good rack. And that would score 30 points. Non-war is good, and that could play in row J, getting the W tripled, albeit at the expense of sticking an A above this double word square, which could be expensive. And I was just about to contemplate plays with an A or an O next to the Z. But I think I can stop doing that now, because there's nothing worth playing there. Wild takes an E at the end. I don't have one of those, and it only takes an E. So what shall I do? This is what I was thinking of. A now for 30 points. And this is pretty good. Non-war is very volatile and only scores 2 more points, and the rack cleave is arguably worse, just to see. Is there anything better in this spot? Well, not that I can see. I am going with this. Well, I do draw a couple of vowels, but I don't think it's enough to have a bingo. Certainly not a 7 on my rack. There could be an 8, but there aren't many floaters on the board. I'm just wondering through an O if I would have broncoed. I'm not sure about that. I'll probably check that should an O become available. Still very early doors. 1 blank gone, but all S's are available, and therefore row O available for an S going on the end of Bezel. Row L quite hot, but that would require a Z vowel, and I don't have a play which works there. Do I have anything in column 8 which extends EX down to the bottom? So that would be a 6-letter extension. Not that I can see. Okay, nice score for opponent. Still trails by 20. and his play doesn't really provide terribly much. And in fact, this board is looking quite tight. So I think I probably will use this XO hook now. I can play daub in that spot, which takes an A and an S. Rackley pretty good. And if opponent doesn't have an A or S, I'm not really providing anything massive. And if he does play in column 11, he'll be opening new bingo lanes, probably. Can I do better than daub? Not sure I can. I'm going with this. Well, not great in that it's not bingo-y, either for 7s or 8s, but J is one of those high-scoring tiles, which is generally nice to see because there's an expectation of getting some value from it. And certainly if I played off JEU, the Rackley ascent is quite good. What I don't have is a hook for daub, but opponent may well play in and around daub because the rest of the board is really tight. XO takes nothing in front. Bezel only takes an S. Q takes nothing in front. So this is a tight board, which I'm grateful for since my lead is only 50 points. It's not tight in the sense that column 11 is available for S bingos, but it is tight in the sense that if opponent doesn't have a column 11 bingo, then the board is not awash with opportunity. And in particular, I'm not seeing anywhere to play JEU. Through an A, I would have Juncate. I'm not seeing anything through the B. Wow, opponent does have a column 11 bingo and now moves into an 18-point lead. And he's played off the second blank, so it's good to see the back of those. It means opponent cannot have any more. Wow, Retaste takes a P in front. Still 1p to come. That could be super hot. And I'm contemplating playing in this spot, not to block that P, but just to play JEU. Can I do better? Column 8 still available for extensions of EX, now extensions of EXO. So Exoneree would fit in that spot. If I had different tiles, Exon is good. I'm just wondering if I've got a play in row L, which gets the J doubled. Jeune is good, but that doesn't stick the J on that spot. I've got eject on my rack. 12 minutes on my clock. This is a tricky rack to deal with because I do want to play off the J, and I'm not really seeing anywhere to do that. What about this? Jeune, 26 points, quite a decent score, quite a decent rack leave, and I'm sort of opening the board up, which I don't mind doing because I am behind. And the risk of it being too tight is that if opponent is in the lead, then it just becomes a wearisome battle to open the board up whilst he closes it down. I think Jeune stops that happening. Opponent may play a parallel play in column 13, but that will just be opening more bingo lanes and leaving this E of Retaste alone and the D and S hooks and S hook in row O. So I quite like this play. Is there a better one? Can I get rid of the J with the C? And I'm just wondering if I've got a 6 set of play with the J one further up. I don't think I do. I am going with this. Wow, dreadful pickup. I would have that full through the U, but I'm expecting opponent to play in column 13. I do have Favel in row L. F and V go particularly badly together, so it'd be good to get rid of both of them. And Favel would leave quite an okay rack leave. Yeah, pretty average score for opponent. And he's not created a new bingo lane because UH takes nothing after it. So the board may end up getting a little tight. I do now have an S for bezels. And Favel takes an A after it. I'm not sure if it takes an S, but it certainly takes an A. And the score is good. And I'm not seeing anywhere else to play off F and V. Am I sure of that? Yes, I think so. Favel for 30. Not great. I lead by 6, but this is an unbalanced rack, and there aren't any floating vowels on the board. I can play OCH, top right, decent score, sorts the rack out nicely, and creates a new bingo lane. Now, what about ET? Do I have a bingo? Well, opponent blocks that, and he blocks OCH, which is irksome. Eta takes an S and a T after it. Jam takes a B and an S. So I could play Thorns, and that's quite tempting. Still 3 S's to come. I may draw another one. But I think the score for this is going to be pretty good. 43 points. Yeah, and I trail by 30. So it's going to be quite handy to not require a bingo. And with 3 U's to come, lots of I's and O's, I could have, well, I may not have a bingo-y rack this game. Can I do any better than Thorns? Let me just put this back for the moment. Have I considered all of the available floaters? So there's R and E. Not seeing anything there. Nothing. Well, there's the L, but I'm really looking for vowels. And is Thorns the best I can do? Can I play off the C with the H? If I'm playing off the S, I could put it in first place. Just wondering if Schnorr can be spelt with 1 R. I don't think it can, but since we're void, I'll check. No. So what else is there to consider? I don't have a better play in row O. Still 1 T to come. I don't want to rush into this if it's not the best thing to do. What about retaining my S and playing Thorn across here? That's 36 points. This is quite a nice rack leave, especially with all these vowels. And I'm creating 2 useful floaters in the R and the N, which are bingo-y, and which don't duplicate tiles on my rack. I'm going with this. Wow, I draw all vowels. I have associate in row O. Do I have a second bingo? And the N and the R look good. But is there a bingo there? Nothing's leapt into my mind, which will be remiss if there is one here. Sonic 8, great, I have an unblockable bingo. I think Sonic 8 has an anagram, or more than one anagram. But what is it? Canoeist. Yeah, that's not particularly better. Is there a third one? Great, look at that. Only 16 points for opponent. And I don't have to fuss about trying to find another bingo because I have associate for 103. Bang! Rack leaves are dreadful, but I'm 90 points in the lead. And rum, although it does take front hooks, doesn't take a ton of them, and it doesn't take an S. And there are 3 S's to come, so if opponent's got one of them and he's got an S bingo, he can't play it in row D. Looks like he's got more than one S because he's just played Nurse for 14. Now, the game is not over. I lead by 80, but there are 15 tiles to come. They look pretty bingo-y, and there are bingo lanes on this board. And I've got a pretty rubbish rack. So, what to do? Well, I think maybe quite useful to take out the R and N as floaters, force opponent into playing in row D. What's the best way of doing that? Well, I can see Corgi. I'm slightly hesitant because it's retaining 2 eyes and it doesn't score very much. Is there a bigger play available? Just 6 minutes on my clock. Tricky to see a play with 2 eyes. But is there one here? Nurse is quite nice in that it's taken out a bingo lane in row D. Rum takes a D and an A and a G in front, so I think it takes a G. It may just be A and D. Let me check the remaining vowels. 10 out of 22, so it's a balanced bag, so I could be in vowel trouble. Wow, opponent's player Rum has taken out column 9 for the Aplites bingo. Interesting. Let me see what Corgi scores. Just 16 points. And I'm providing a spot for opponent to dump K or Y. 5 minutes on my clock. So, can I do better than Corgi? 4 minutes on my clock. I'm not going to score very much in this general area of R and N. So what about a play onto the R? And I'd like it to begin with the C to prevent parallel plays. Not seeing anything. The best I can see is Icier. 3 minutes on my clock. I think I've run out of thinking time. Corgi for 16. Wow. The nightmare scenario has happened. I lead by 100, but I have got just a shocking rack. Absolutely shocking. An opponent's now within a bingo's reach of me. 8 tiles to come. 8 tiles in the bag. What about changing? What about changing? What would be the alternative to take out the bingo lanes in rows D and E? I do have a 70-point lead. So what I could do is this. I was thinking about playing Urei down there. I don't even have an R. I was attracted by this one. No, I have to change, I think. I just can't see any way. Ayuri is good with an I there. But I can't see any EI plays on my rack. And I've only got 2 minutes. I'm changing. This is just a rack from hell. And I'll keep just an E. Pretty good. Pretty good. A scoring tile in the K. And if opponent doesn't bingo right now, I am going to be closing down this bingo lane. I think Skanga is good. That would play nicely in row E. Yep, that's good. That may get the job done. I could probably work out what opponent's got on his rack given what I chucked back. So he's got all the consonants here, D, G, P, R and S. Not great. So I'm feeling a lot happier with this rack. What does Skanga score? Only 24 points, not great. While I'm here, I'll check Grum. Yeah, it is good. Okay. So I could play Canag. Well, that is creating new lanes, so I don't want to do that. Skanga is pretty effective at taking out all of the bingo lanes. So what if opponent does bingo now? Do I have anything in column 15? Maybe a 6-letter play, which gets the K doubled. Taken doesn't take an S. Gasket doesn't work because IG isn't good. Even without the K being doubled, I'm not seeing anything which hits the triple word square. Okay, that's annoying, and I'm not seeing anywhere really good for my K. I could play Oak top right, keeping a good rack lead. 26 points, that might just be enough. If opponent bingos now, we're going to be pretty level. 9 minutes on his clock. Column 5 also available for a bingo, ending in L. Not too many of those. I can play Kang. I can play Nag, Favela, and Kai. 36 points. That's pretty good, keeping a fantastic rack lead of EST. And that might be worth doing, even if opponent doesn't play up here, because it would put me in, and he doesn't. For this reason, I am 44 points ahead. 6 tiles in the bag. So if I play this for 36, 2 minutes on my clock, I'll be 80 points ahead. An opponent at best can draw level will then have only 2 tiles on his rack, and surely with this rack lead I can outrun him. I'm playing Nag. Great, opponent's got all those vowels. He's only got at best an R and an S. So if I and you are in the bag, well, he has Aries, but I'm not sure there is anywhere for that. Now, do I have a bingo? I have the D and the G for going on the end of going in front of Rum. I don't think I do. Indigest is good, but that's blocked, and Dingiest. Just wondering if there are other anagrams of that word, of those words. Yes, dietings. Okay, opponent's given up. He now has got, in the sense that he's not fishing for a bingo, he's got only 6 tiles on his rack. 1 minute on my clock. Ripe takes a G. I'm not seeing a bingo here. Giddiest through a D. So it's quite tempting to put the G in front of Gripe. I'm looking to go out in 2. Quite tempting, but not really scoring very much. 1 minute on my clock. What about a play in column 15, beginning with the D? Not seeing one. What about beginning with the T? No, not seeing one either. What about playing just here? 20 points. Not sure. Okay. I think I'll play Geed for 20. And I can go out with... I thought for a moment I'd missed Edgius, but that's 2 E's. I can go out with Sit and Nags, and Sit S and die, so I am going out. Opponent isn't going out with this rack, so I do need to find the best place for Sit, and I've got only 30 seconds, so I don't want to go over. So Sit and Nags, 16 points. Sit for Valas and Gee, 22. Sit under Geed, 12. Well, opponent may well take the best S spot since he has one. Okay, so 18 points for opponent. And I'm not seeing anything better than Nits for 14. Let me just check in my mind. Do I have anything which makes favelas? I don't. I'm going with this. And the final score, 346 for my opponent, 426 for me, a winning margin of 80 points. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go first, and I thought about Chi. Wow, Louis also available, but that rack leave of EQ is going to be close to -12, so I still like changing. Opponent's rack plays Aplight, retaining the V, and now this is what I have, and Biflex doesn't appear on here. Maybe it's not good, but I think it is. So what do? I play Fix, but G1 Fizz, possibly worth doing. It's 14 more points. How dangerous is the F in column 1? Probably not massive. Anyway, Fix did have some merit. It wasn't that far off. It was only 8 points behind. Well, I play Fix for 31, so Fix for 38 is row I. So I am quite a way off, but this is a fairly safe move. It's not really creating any new openings. And the rack lever is quite good, so I don't feel that this is a massively suboptimal play. Great start for opponent, both blanks. Plays Caddy. And wow, Benzel was available, and I play Bezel for 53. Opponent's rack plays Vild, and I thought about Crow, didn't like the duplicate N, so sacrifice 6 points to have a rack leave of CNR. Is CNR 6 points better than ANN? It might not be. I think CNR is going to be maybe -1 or 2, ANN. Maybe -3. So I don't think CNR is 6 points better. But I think these moves, combining score and rack leave, aren't too far apart. Wow, loads of bingos for opponent. I say loads, it's the same bingo, using the blank in lots of different spots and playing in different spots. But opponent plays Y for 27. And now I have this rack. And I play Daub for 27, and that looks fine. And it's great for opponent because he's now got Retaste. So at this point I trail by 18, and I don't have a great rack. And I play Jeune for 34, which keeps the board open, and that looks fine. Opponent's rack plays Oath, And I play Favel for 30, which again looks fine. Not a nice rack for opponent. Plays Mar. And I have a Solitary Vowel, and I trail by 30. And I play Thorn, which keeps a nice rack leave and keeps the score going, drawing me slightly into the lead. Horrible rack for opponent. Plays Rum. Right, so he's really sorting his rack out with duplicate U and general junk on his rack, as opposed to specifically setting up a bingo lane. Now, this is where my fortunes change, and I have Associate for 103. G14, Erotica's the bingo through the R. Societal, a bingo onto the L. And then Aconite's, Canoeist and Sonic 8, but Associate certainly the best of the bunch. Opponent's rack has not improved, and now he trails by 90. So 19 tiles in the bag, but the board is tight-ish and opponent is in trouble. Plays Nurse. I have a Grim rack, and I spent a while on this. I went with Corgi in the end. And look at all these rack leaves. All of these rack leaves are heavily vowel heavy, and Corgi wasn't much better. But M7 Sig are making cut and ags. The score there of 32 points might have been worth doing. The other point of playing Corgi was to take out floaters, so Sig isn't an obviously better move. Opponent's rack plays Noi in that Sig spot, and now I'm not in a terribly tricky position because this rack is so awful. It wasn't that difficult to pull the trigger on changing. And look at these rack leaves, no scores over 20, and every single one of these rack leaves a rack leave from hell. So glad to see the back of that rack. Opponent so close to a bingo, but he doesn't have one. Plays Oop. Now I am 40 points ahead, and there are 6 tiles in the bag, and Nag I think is best. It puts me in a strong position to outrun any bingo. But there was no bingo. Opponent plays Ripe. And wow, there was a column 15 6-letter play, digits, and actually quite a few because of tidies and digest, so a bit of an oversight there. But I played Geed for 20. The game is won. Opponent's rack plays Ease and Snit G15. Okay, G15, Snit. Oh yes, slightly better than my play of Nits, just putting the S higher up. So, what a game. Really great fun and jolly close, with some very non-bingo racks throughout until Associate appeared on my rack with a dream spot to play it in row O, and that absolutely transformed the game. And sometimes there are just single moves which do that, and in this instance it was Associate, and really I never looked back after playing that move. Maybe if opponent had bingoed fairly soon after, it would have been a different story, but he didn't, and in the end a bingo wouldn't have been enough for him. So all good fun. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.